Well, hi guys, big thank you for joining us. Welcome to Baku. We're the Gapticators, Phil and Izzy. We've been full-time travellers since 2018. Join us on our road trip adventures as we explore the world. And for weekly updates, subscribe, like and turn on that bell notification. So Baku sits on the edge of the Caspian Sea and it's actually 28 metres below sea level. And you wonder how can that be? And it's because the Caspian Sea sits below sea level and technically it's more of a lake than a sea, but it's vast. It's 371,000 square metres, which means that you can fit the island of Ireland into it 4.5 times. Today, Baku is vibrant and glitzy, and sometimes described as the Paris of the East, the land of fire, or the Windy City. But early records of Azerbaijan describe it as a desolate and barren landscape. From the 2nd century BC, Baku was seen as a gateway from mysterious China and Asia to wealthy Europe. At one point, Baku was the biggest and most important stop on the Silk Road. Jewellery, carpet, silk, copper, salt, oil and handcrafted goods were traded. However, in more recent times, Baku is known for its oil, and although there's evidence of petroleum being traded in the 3rd and 4th centuries, it wasn't until 1859 that the first oil wells were established. And with investment from the likes of the Rothschilds and Noble brothers, by 1901, Azerbaijan was producing more than 50% of the world's oil. Today, it's ranked the 23rd largest oil producer in the world, and the wealth from oil has transformed Baku into the richest city in the Caucasus, with a heady mix of Western, Soviet and Middle Eastern influences, and a population of 2.2 million people. We're in the old part of the city where we've got the very iconic 12th century maiden towers behind us, but it's such a contrasting city. Stick with us as we delve even deeper and explore this very eclectic city. The Maiden Tower is located within the area known as Eshir Shahir. Translated from Azerbaijani, literally means inner city, or known locally as the Old Town. It was listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2000. The tower, built in the 12th century, stands 28 metres high with walls between 4 to 5 metres thick and served as a lighthouse until the beginning of the 20th century. Although the Maiden Tower is now a museum, its original purpose was actually unknown, but it's been beautifully restored. We're on top of the Maiden Tower and what a view. One of the things you'll love about Baku is the seaside promenade, and we're just walking from Fountain Square down to the Carpet Museum, and it's gorgeous and it isn't even too busy.
Look at the fantastic view of the flame towers.
Yeah, I love that. So not only is the pedestrian subway ornate with marble, it's actually covered in artwork. Well, there's no question the Azerbaijanis love the green space, and the climate here in Baku is actually classed as semi-desert. And if you look at the early photographs of Baku, when only a couple of thousand people lived here, it is desert-like. There's nothing here. It's really barren, and so all the parks, all the greenery, all the cacti, that's all been put in the last sort of 120 years. But they've done it really well. It's stunning. And just set off the promenade is an area known as Little Venice. It was built in the 1960s as a tourist attraction and boasts a waterway with electric gondolas, which you can hire. There's also a couple of restaurants where you can enjoy a typical Bakuvian breakfast. But as you explore the city, it's impossible to understate the Soviet influence. After all, Azerbaijan was occupied by the Soviet Union between 1920 to 1991. And for the last 20 years, it's tried to emerge as an arts destination, with the city brimming with theatres, galleries, modern art, architectural gems, and even an annual jazz festival. Historically, the national sport was freestyle wrestling. Today, though, it's all about the football and chess. So we're actually on a walking tour right now in the old city. It's about 2.5 hours long, and I would say, even if you're only here for one day, come and do it. You'll learn so much.
Maybe he doesn't want to be eaten.
Was called Shamach Road. Why? Because it would lead us to the city where the kings were residing. Is the Soviet time. And then the Soviet time.
So one of the places you've got to come if you come to Baku is the Shirvanshah's Palace in the old city. But it's just a picture. You're surrounded by new architecture, and we've got the museum inside, and we're just about to go and explore.
Built between the 12th and the 17th century, I think, Phil, and lived in for about 1,000 years by the rulers of Azerbaijan at the time, and it really is stunning.
We sound like we know what we're talking about.
We haven't got a clue.
We've just read it, so we're going for an explore. The palace complex is bigger than it first appears. As well as the main building, there's a mosque with minaret, mausoleum of the dervish, burial vaults, a reservoir, and remnants of a bathhouse. In the past, the palace was surrounded by a wall and linked to the Maiden Tower, serving as the inner stronghold of the Baku fortress. We've been strolling around the palace now for the last 20 minutes or so, and I have to say it's one of the best places we've been in Baku. It's absolutely superb. In contrast to the old, the Heydar Aliyev Centre represents Baku's modern-day architecture and was inspired by the landscape's natural topography. So it was designed by the British Iraqi architect Zahir Hadid and has become a real signature piece of Baku modern architecture. And you note the curves and lack of angles. The centre is named after the first Secretary of Soviet Azerbaijan. It has 8 levels, an auditorium, temporary exhibition spaces, a conference centre and a museum including some classic cars. Well, we've been walking around now for about 20 odd minutes. What a gorgeous building. I mean, if you like architecture, yeah, this is your thing, if you like modern architecture. So we're going to go for a look inside. So, top tip, don't come here on a Monday, it's closed. So somewhere that doesn't really pop up when you do your searches of places to see when you come to Baku is the Taza Pir Mosque. It's relatively new, started work in 1905, built by the Azeri family, and it's been built on an ancient tomb burial site. A day like today, it's absolutely gorgeous. There's been a religious building in numerous forms here since the 14th century, but it was an Azeri female philanthropist, Nabat Kunum, who financed what you see today. Right, let's go and catch up with Izzy. Oh, the landscape is incredible.
Even though you're surrounded by really busy roads.
Yeah.
It's just lovely. And what's even better is that it was all designed by a woman.
So although we can't smell oil off the sea, and some people say you can, it's looking very suspect. So although we've got a gorgeous day in Baku, we've still got wind. There's always wind here. Okay, so we're going to jump on the funicular railway, which takes us up to the Highland Park. You can take the stairs, but obviously for the experience, we're going to jump on the funicular. So let's go and have a look. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're not jumping on the funicular, we'll take the steps. Okay, so obviously Monday is maintenance day. Alright, Izzy, how are you feeling?
Yeah, actually it's not that bad.
So at the top of the steps is a Highland Park, and if you want the views, this is definitely the place to come.
Yep, I would certainly call it panoramic.
We've got the best day for it. We've got the Carpet Museum just down here, the shopping mall just over here.
Ferris wheel.
Yeah, we've got the Crescent Hotel. I mean, you can see all the landmarks here.
And then you can just see the Maiden Tower. See where that green roof is? The Maiden Tower is just behind that.
Yeah.
And then to the left, that little concentration there is the Old Town.
And if you want a coffee or lunch at the top, there's a restaurant.
So we're just walking up now to the Shaidar Monument, which is at the top of Martyrs Alley, which is effectively a cemetery within Highland Park. So we're here at the Turkish memorial to fallen soldiers who died in Azerbaijan in World War I. And the building itself is absolutely stunning with this intricate carved lattice work you see so regularly here in Baku. But what's incredible is the fire inside, which must get battered by the wind but just doesn't seem to go out because it's the everlasting fire of life.
As we leave Highland Park, you can't fail to be impressed by the flame towers. Standing at 190 metres tall, they dominate the cityscape, regardless of where you are. The towers, which have become a symbol of modern-day Baku, are intended to symbolise the elements of fire and are a reference to Azerbaijan's nickname, the Land of Fire, and the city's history of fire worshipping. Completed in 2013, one houses the Fairmont Hotel, the tallest of the three high-end apartments, and to the west, Class A office space. At night, they come alive, with over 10,000 LED screens fitted externally, giving the illusion of flames, and a man waving the national flag. But for now, it's time for some hearty and spicy traditional slow-cooked food of chicken, aubergine, potatoes, called asaj. If your thing is carpets, you'll want to visit the Azerbaijan National Carpet Museum. Located just off the seafront promenade, you can't fail to notice it, in the form of a rolled-up carpet. There's been a carpet museum in the city since 1967, but moved to this purpose-built location in 2014. We're in the Carpet Museum, and one of the things we love the most about the museum is the building itself. Obviously in the shape of a carpet, and as well as being filled with carpets, there's loads of gorgeous images here, lots of old video, and if you're in Baku, definitely give it a visit. As with most big attractions in the city, it's closed on Mondays and costs about €4 to get in, or about €6.50 for a guided tour. The intriguing building, built on reclaimed land and sharing similar design cues to the Sydney Opera House, is the Deniz Mall. It covers 5 levels of retail, entertainment, restaurants, and it's a great place to take a break from the wind. So we're at Atashga, which is just outside Baku, and it actually translates as fire temple. So this is a place of worship for the Sikhs, the Hindus and the Zoroastrians, and there are a number of natural gas vents which obviously have been lit at some point in the past, and it's still very much a religious site. Built in the 17th and 18th century, the pentagonal complex has a courtyard surrounded by cells for the monks with the fire temple in the middle. Today, it's no longer a place of worship, but a museum. Entry is free, and it's about a 20-minute taxi ride from the centre of Baku. Well, morning guys. Well, we're at Yanadag. It's about 30 minutes outside of Baku. It's a small gas vent that at some point in the past has become lit. No one quite knows how it became lit. And they've really made something of it here. But in fairness, it's quite underwhelming. There's not much here. Come on then, Lizzie, give me your thoughts on this.
I mean, it's amazing. It's a natural gas, presumably, that's coming up through the ground. But it's not really a mountain.
It's a hillside.
A small hillside.
with an eternal flame.
Yes.
So it cost us about £4.50, 9 manat, or $5 and takes about 30 minutes by car from central Baku. Okay, so Izzy's in her element because we're in the Yashil Bazaar. And Izzy loves nothing more than a little amble through a bazaar.
Oh, trip over something on the way.
So obviously this is all the fruit and veg. I mean, it's, what time is it? It's 6 o'clock at night.
It's 6:30.
6:30. I think lots of people are closing up, but there's still lots of vendors here. As well as all the fresh produce, there's dry goods, spices, nuts, tea, honey, and pretty much everything you can eat. And as you'd expect, lots of caviar and fish. As with most market traders, they love to entice you in, and we're incredibly friendly. They're being sucked in.
They are delicious, yeah.
So right behind me is the old inner city walls, and although it's chaos with cars right now, this used to be a moat, and there used to be a secondary wall, and in between there'd be a moat filled with water and another moat filled with oil. And so as part of the city's defences, they used to set fire to the oil. So the saying, to get into the city, you had to cross fire and water. Browsing the streets of the old town, you'll find souvenir shops, antiques, jewellery, glass, art, silks, handmade goods, and of course carpets. If books are your thing, you might enjoy the Miniature Book Museum. It's just down from the Shahriar's Palace and it's free to get in. The Azerbaijanis love a bit of al fresco dining. Whether it's breakfast, lunch, late night dinner, or just enjoying a coffee, there's certainly lots to choose from. Okay, so this is so traditional. They love slow cooked food. They also love food baked in a pastry. And so what we have here is a pilaf rice. And in here, as dark as it is, this is chicken. There's chicken in a sauce, sort of slow cooked.
Plums and nuts.
And that's where the colour comes from, with the plum. Right.
Wow.
Well, they love cooking with plums here. And this is really delicious, but it's actually really intense. The pastry is really, really crispy, but it's gorgeous. Yeah, is it good?
The chicken is really rich, quite sweet, really delicious.
Good. You can expect to get bread with pretty much every meal in Baku, baked in a traditional clay tandoor oven, 7 days a week. So one of the things you'll notice in Baku is there's coffee houses everywhere, but it's not always that cheap. So we've just got a coffee and a hot chocolate, and it was 1540 manat, and that is just over £8 or $9, so that's pretty expensive. There's no question Baku's a real melting pot of influences, and the Wolfram Oil has attracted luxury high-end brands. But it's definitely a city of two halves, and if the cars are anything to go by, the wealth disparity is huge. From car parks full of luxury cars to, well, not so luxury. And speaking of fast cars, the Azerbaijan Formula 1 Grand Prix was first held in the streets of Baku in 2017, with Valtteri Bottas achieving a top speed of 234 miles an hour. Exploring the city on foot is easy, particularly in the old town with so much in a concentrated area. That said, careful when crossing roads, even on a pedestrian crossing with a green light. The Azerbaijan drivers don't stop for anyone. There's an excellent bus network, and one man at 60 will take you pretty much anywhere in the city. That's less than €1. If you fancy a taxi, download the apps for Uber and Bolt. It's super cheap, and again, you can get pretty much anywhere in the city for less than €2. There's also private taxis but make sure you agree the price before the ride and be prepared to sit in traffic. And the most expensive are the London-style cabs located around the city. Baku has an excellent underground metro. It's extremely cheap. For less than 20 cents euro, you can get pretty much anywhere in the city. There's also a couple of e-scooter schemes. Just download the app and for less than €1 you can explore and drop off at a number of locations, and you'll have a lot of fun doing it. There's a number of mobile operators and you can get a data-only SIM for about £20 or $25 and cash points are plentiful. The average wage in Baku is about 827 manat a month. That's about £390 or $485. Azerbaijan is the most secular Muslim country in the world. You rarely see men with long beards or women wearing the hijab. Alcohol is served almost everywhere, with wine and vodka popular, a legacy of the Soviet era. Azerbaijan has a strong relationship with Turkey going back centuries, as they're from the same Turkic ethnicity, and often described as one nation, two states. Well guys, that's it for this week. Thank you so much for joining us. If you haven't already, we'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel and leave us a comment, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.